Talking About My Generation, the podcast with Lee Scriven and Del Bromham.
Hello and welcome to another fine edition of Talking About My Generation. Trust me when I say there's no substitute. Cheesy,
Oh, I got you.
Cheesy. I'm really pleased to welcome Del back from Spain. Nice time?
Oh, it was lovely, mate. Lovely.
Lovely.
The weather was lovely. Petrol's cheaper.
Yeah. Do you play? Do you take your guitar? Do you go to local bars when you're out there or anything?
No, I've actually got a few guitars out
Out there? Oh, don't say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few guitars out there, but no, I didn't really. I've got a friend of mine. It's funny. I've got a friend of mine who's got a bar called Blanco Bar. It's a really good bar, and I said to him back a few months ago, I like your T-shirt, black T-shirt with a little emblem on the chest that says Blanco. Well, he was really chuffed because I did that tour with British Lion before Christmas, and I wore it a couple of times. And of course, I flagged some pictures up so he could see his T-shirt. But the funny thing was, I had young lads come up to me, "Who's that band then?" And I said, "No, it's not a band, it's my mate's bar."
So double egg and chips every morning. Yeah,
but it was a relaxing time. I had a few bits of business to sort out there, but it was very nice too.
I do envy you. I must admit, I've been wanting to get away, but bless him, I've got I think I've got the oldest Dalmatian dog in the world, and I daren't leave him because every day is a special day with him because he's so old. So. Yeah, at some point I must get away. But anyway, welcome to our special guest today, Peter Muir. From the music industry, we'll go into a little bit deeper. We're so delighted to have him in here because I think if you've been listening to all of our shows, we've been very interested to talk to someone who's in the current industry and how it may have changed since Del's days, not my days. Because
it's in my day.
Yeah, but it'll be very interesting. Stay with us. This is going to be, I've been looking forward to this show a long time. But I've said to Peter, as per normal and as by the demand of the great world's public, because we go all around the world, we are sticking with the Beatles quiz, which I quite enjoy. Going to do it, Peter can help him. Okay, here we go. First, there's only a few, then we'll get on with it. What is, and I can give you the options this week.
Okay.
What is Paul McCartney's middle name?
James.
Yeah, you got it. I thought you were. Would you got that, Peter?
Wasn't a good start.
No, okay. And again, I think this is my moment. So you're 1-0 up now. You're 6-5 up. Okay.
Just slow down a bit.
Okay, yeah. Which Beatles song holds the record for the most cover versions by different artists? And Hey Jude, Revolution Number 9. What that one's doing in there, I don't know. I don't even know if there is a cover version of that. No. That would be quite difficult. Yesterday and Let It Be.
Yesterday.
Yeah. I thought you would. All right, 2-0 up. You're 2-0 up. Okay.
Frank Sinatra recorded that as well.
Yeah. He comes up later on in the quizzes in this as well. This one got me. This one beat me. There you go, I'll own up. What was the title of a Beatles manager, Brian Epstein's autobiography? A Cellar Full of Noise, Revolution in the Head, Nowhere Man, and I like the last one, All You Need Is Cash.
Can you give us those ones again, please?
Okay, yeah. Cellar Full of Noise, Revolution in the Head, Nowhere Man, All You Need Is Cash.
I think it was Nowhere Man.
Dale?
Yeah, I think it was Nowhere Man as well.
I did as well.
And it's not?
But it's not. No, it's not. It's A Cellar Full of Noise.
Oh.
Which is, yeah. As soon as I saw Nowhere Man.
Who wrote that? Was it Roy Plumley?
I have no idea. I
think it came along a bit later, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there you go. I'm surprised at that. There we go. We were all on the same page.
I think it's because there was a TV film called Nowhere Man.
Yeah. That may be it. But it seems to fit more.
Yeah.
Seems to fit.
I think it's a better fit. I think they should retitle that.
Peter, you're a man of the music industry. I've always felt Brian Epstein gets a little bit criticised unfairly for probably being one of the greatest managers of all time. Would you agree in that? Because he had to write the scripts that people like yourself and everyone had to follow, really. It was such a difficult... No one had a group.
No.
A group then.
No.
And he
Absolutely.
promised to make them the biggest stars in the world, and he did.
And bear in mind, the record labels told him that beat groups are on the way out.
Yeah. So I always feel he gets a little bit, everyone goes on about the franchise deal, where, it was not a good deal, but there hadn't been one.
Absolutely.
Would you agree on that?
I would. I think that Epstein's a fascinating character, and I think there's so much more still to be told about him.
Yeah.
There's more to reveal. I mean, his tragedy, of course, was he was gay, which back then was illegal. And
people forget that, don't they?
That was illegal.
People forget that.
So I think this, he came from a wealthy background. His family had nothing to do with the music business. He had a lot to fight and push against in order to further his career in the music business. And I take my hat off to him. I think he was hugely important and influential in that, in terms of the gestation of that band. Without Epstein, there wouldn't have been a Beatles.
No.
I don't think they'd have existed at all.
True.
George Martin came along, but he was picking up where Epstein basically left off.
And they loved him, didn't they, the Beatles?
Yeah.
They absolutely
they did.
loved him.
Yeah. He was such a formative character. So he's one of the music business's tragedies, of course.
Yeah, a shame. It is a shame. And arguably, you would say he did their greatest work while he was their manager.
When you think about it, the other thing is that what became their look as well. Because when they were just like five lads,
punks really.
I know, with leather jackets and all that. And I just wonder, a fly on the wall. No, you're going to wear suits.
Yeah.
I mean, especially someone like Lennon. I can imagine him really rebelling against that. But they all seem to do it.
Well,
like you're saying, that they seem to respect his judgment.
Well, I read a book, and it's, loads of books on the Beatles, but one of them, I can't remember which one it is, but yeah, on that sort of subject, I'm with you. I'm thinking, how did he convince them to put on these suits and play variety clubs when they'd just come back from, like, the sort of debauchery of Hamburg, and this kind of thing. And apparently he was sort of, I think he put it in really plain terms. He said, I'll get, I don't know if this is the money. He said, well, you can carry on earning £2 a week dressed like this, or you can make £20 a week if you put a suit on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Beatles being the Beatles didn't go and get any suit, did they? Is it Pierre Cardin? I don't know who the designer was. People will be screaming at me now, but those Beatles suits are still iconic to this day. So they still stood out.
My mum made me one.
Yeah, same here.
My mum made me a Beatle jacket. She made me a Beatle jacket.
Same here.
Brown collar one.
I've got Cinefilm.
And then around the time the Ticket to Ride and paper right, they had the Shea Stadium with the
velvet
military
on the
jackets.
collar. And
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They still had an edge. They were clever enough to say, we're not just going to wear any suit. But okay, right, you're doing well. But this one got me. I didn't know this one, not fully, because this is from The Guardian. Okay, this is not just from some bloke in a cellar on the internet. I got this off The Guardian to make sure it was true. Right? But this one, we'll talk about it. Who gave the Beatles their name? George Harrison, Pete Best, John Lennon, or Paul McCartney?
I'm going to go with Harrison.
Okay.
I thought it was Lennon.
Yes, that is the right answer according to The Guardian. And this is where Scribbo goes against The Guardian.
It was the Silver Beatles, wasn't it?
It was the Silver Beatles, and then they changed the Beatles, but apparently Stuart Sutcliffe as well. Sutcliffe, whichever way you pronounce it.
Well, I think it was Stuart Sutcliffe suggested the Silver Beatles, didn't he?
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I think he suggested the Silver Beatles.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're doing well now. You're 3-0
He's doing too
up.
well.
3-0 up.
You've obviously been brushing up on your
3-1.
Beatles.
No, I'm just a big fan.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't be writing songs and doing what I'm doing if it hadn't been for Lennon McCartney.
Yeah.
Okay, which Beatles song did Frank Sinatra, formerly mentioned, describe as the greatest Beatles love song ever written? Norwegian Wood, Yesterday, Why Don't We Do It in the Road? Or something.
Oh, it was yesterday. It was yesterday.
Peter bailed you out there.
What was that?
Yes.
Something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think it got translated. He said, it's the greatest song Lennon McCartney have ever written. No, actually, it's George. The Beatles song they've ever written. Then.
Yeah, that was. I saw that recently. Actually, someone was with. Oh yeah, it was Michael Jackson.
Oh right.
Was met up with George Harrison, and complimented George on something. saying what a beautiful song it was. Well, I didn't actually write that one. Lennon McCartney wrote that one.
Was he Chinese? No, I didn't know that.
Here's one for you. I knew this. Which pop artist designed the cover of the White Album? Richard Hamilton, Peter Blake, Andy Warhol, or Bridget Riley?
I'm going to go with Bridget Riley.
On the cover of what album?
The Double White Album.
Oh, the Double White Album.
Who
I
designed
don't know.
that?
I'll have to say.
No, Richard Hamilton.
Oh,
I didn't know that one. So I did.
No.
I've read on that. But remember,
didn't know.
we did the Double White podcast.
We did,
so
yeah.
if you're into the Double White, trawl back for some of our podcasts. And I remember sort of making notes then. And I'm sure if you don't get this one, it's 3-2 now. But you've got to get this one because you're good at this one. Who played lead guitar on Ticket to Ride? John Lennon, Eric Clapton, Paul McCartney, or George Harrison?
That's Paul McCartney.
Yay! 4-2.
He played a lot of lead guitar on there, actually. A lot of lead guitar on the Beatles tunes.
That's strange, though, isn't it? I was thinking about that when I wonder how George felt, really, because they were very... I mean, later stages, sort of post-Peppers, probably Sgt. Pepper's and Double White, yeah, there were sessions going on and people adding stuff here and there. But at that moment in time, still 4-track, correct me if I'm wrong, and it's a brilliant lick. It's one of the defining rock licks with Ringo's drumming. It's probably arguably one of the, like the Kinks we were talking about, You Really Got Me. It's one of those first ever sort of rock indie songs. And I just wonder why McCartney played it. I wonder why I didn't let George play it.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't really know. George would be the only person to tell you that. But I mean, the other one that is a great guitar solo is Taxman.
Yeah.
That's McCartney
Again.
Yeah.
And is it If Your Bird Can Sing? Isn't that the intro?
No, And Your Bird Can Sing. Now, that is a great tune. I think I discussed this or talked about it on a previous podcast. I read, that And Your Bird Can Sing has got, if you're a guitarist, it's got fantastic twin lead guitar in it.
Oh.
And what I read was that it was Paul and George. They put the backing track down, and then George Martin said, well, we'll do another track. And they went in the studio and they stood and played it together in about 1 or 2 takes.
Wow.
And it's and it's I still wonder it now.
Every time I hear it. Yeah.
It's like, and funnily enough, they're slightly older than me, but they would be remembering songs that I heard when I was growing up. Because although my dad wasn't a musician, we had the records of Les Paul and Mary Ford in the house, 78.
Right, okay.
And actually, if I think back to those times, arguably, since Les Paul and Mary Ford, that was probably the first song or record that came out that had twin lead guitar in it.
Yeah.
Because the twin lead guitar thing after that was like the Thin Lizzies in the Wishbone Ashes.
That's it. I was trying to think of the name.
But at that point, I can't think of any other tune before that or subsequently a year or two after that had twin lead guitar in it.
And I suppose really, while I was thinking about the Paul McCartney Ticket Ride, it really sums up the Beatles sort of the way they worked, ethos, where the egos were left somewhere else. It was all for the benefit of the song, which is really commendable. Yeah, really commendable, and it worked. Here we are still talking about it.
Well,
some 50s, and it's worked. Oh no, that's my bit. No, go away. That's not. But I think McCartney played drums on back in the USSR, didn't it? I mean, there's loads of sort of references to mixing up, but it was for the good of the Beatles, which is
they were tight though, weren't they? I mean, they were buddies at that time. I think that they were open to moving the chess pieces around a little bit when it came to instrumentation and who played what. And they were getting on well. And I think Harrison was probably quite an easy guy. I mean, I never met him. He was quite an easy-going character.
I wonder what the solo would have been had he not been friends with Eric Clapton and he played it.
Yeah.
Because that once again, that's almost, I know the word iconic is often misused, but that guitar part in something really is special.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's quite simple but special.
Well, that's
and
why,
and because of its simplicity, I wonder why he thought, I'm not going to play that. Eric, will you play it?
Yeah.
And I mean, even Eric was surprised.
Well, I think again, seeing documentaries, reading about it, I think George has really warmed to me over the years. It seems every time a documentary comes out, especially the Get Back and the recent anthology, he seemed to be the one who had the most common sense.
Yeah.
You know, hey guys, we'll pull back. You know, McCartney's sort of full of life. Lennon, massive, big ideas. Ringo's out the back having a glass of wine or whatever. But George said, and I know if you think about the Let It Be on the rooftop, that was all planned to go to some island somewhere in Europe, in Spain or something, and it was going to be. And he just went, "No, what are you doing? You know, I'm not doing that."
Funny,
and he just brought them all down. But Lennon and McCartney go, "Oh yeah, sorry about that, George." You know, he just seemed, and he was funny, wasn't he?
Well,
he was really comical. But the bit I was getting to is that I think I've read that where he said about the Eric Clapton. He said, "Well, he's better than me." You know, and again, it's for the benefit of the song.
Yeah.
You know, it's not me saying, "Look at me, I'm a fantastic guitar. I can play guitar." No, it's for the benefit of the song. So, but you're right. I think George has grown in stature since the Beatles split up, more than when he was in it, really.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law worked for the Beatles for a while, and he used to. George nicknamed him. This is my brother-in-law Pete. He nicknamed my brother-in-law Pete Little Beaver because he was always working. And he said he didn't really know John because John was away in America most of the time. But in the early 70s, he said George was the most amiable one to him, very friendly and very generous.
Yeah.
Not just financially, but just as a human being, very generous.
And of course, while we're talking about the Beatles, I want to talk about the Stones later on. Paul McCartney's new album's out. I was reading Mojo last night. It's a good Mojo if you're into Mojo magazine.
I was reading it yesterday as well.
I'm just going to buy that.
It's really good this month.
Yeah.
It's got the Eagles in it and the Winwood, the Spencer Davis
Steve
group
Winwood,
story.
I mean, you talk about my heroes in one magazine.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I
It's
just
all
sat
Winwood,
there.
Spencer Davis,
I got
Beatles,
it through, and it's like goodbye. Let the wife watch Emma Dow, Corrie, carry on. I'm in my element. And that Chris Blackwell saying that when he turned up at this club, pub where they were playing, packed out, queues down the road. Obviously, to see the Boy Wonder.
Yeah.
And he said he just came upstairs. He didn't know there was this 15-year-old kid.
15-year-old singing Georgia on one.
And he's coming up, going, "Whoa!" He said, got all excited. What's his voice? You know, and he walks in, and it's like, "All right, mate."
Only the
15-year-old Brummy standing there.
Only this morning, I read a very funny story about Steve Winwood. He was in America, and the guy who was driving him at the time was driving him to his wedding. He was getting married in New York, Steve Winwood. And the driver says, I'll drop you off. I'm going to see Otis Rush playing. Oh, I'd love to go along and jam with him. What time is he on? He said, "Steve, you're going to your wedding. You can't." He said, "But I'd like to have played with Otis Rush." You know, it was just funny. He was just music mad.
Yeah.
Was a genius, Peter, wasn't he? Well, still is. David
Winwood.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, if you go back to, obviously back to the time, Keep on Running and, I'm a Man and so on and so forth. But later, I think with Traffic, when he picked up with Traffic and they got on with stuff, and John Barleycorn Must Die, albums like that, Mr. Fantasy, they were terrific albums, but his voice totally shone out. I mean, terrific bands, obviously. I mean, the instrumentation and everything was sublime, but it was very much about Winwood, I felt.
Yeah.
And then Blind Faith, which
again
was a good idea.
Yeah.
Just didn't quite come off.
No.
But he's all over it.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, when it's reading about the singles coming out, Love Somebody and Give Me Some Loving.
Well, Mojo does all that kind of thing really, really well.
Yeah, he does. It's a great read. So if you haven't picked up on it, it's a good read every month, but this month is an exceptional one.
You think of the Spencer Davis group in that little short period where they had hit records. You've got Keep On Running with that bass line, and you've got Give Me Some Loving with that bass line. Yeah. And they're timeless, aren't they?
Yeah.
What's the other one? Somebody to Love? What's that? That's not the right word.
Somebody Help Me, yeah.
Somebody Help Me, yeah. What a song.
Another cracker.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's 2 minutes 15 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, it just says it all.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Right, you've heard the voice of Peter Muir. I got this from the website. He's a UK-based journalist, publicist and music industry professional. So, and founded a PR agency back in '85. But basically, I'm not going to go on. You've been involved in music and you're currently running your own sing-song music, involved in sing-song music record company, which is why we're so pleased to talk to you. But we're going to come on to that. What's the demands and how things have changed over the years. But if you've listened to this show, Pete, you'll know you have to go under the mincer a little bit to give our audience an idea of your musical tastes and upbringing. So a pretty easy one. The first record you bought with your own money.
The first record I bought with my own money. That was probably, I was going to say Herman's Hermits, No Milk Today, but I'm cheating there because my daddy bought it for me because I was...
But it was yours.
I was 9.
So, but that was your
but it was
record.
for me.
Yeah,
I wanted it for my birthday. So my dad said to me, okay, and he lived in Ealing, so we went to Squires of Ealing on Ealing Broadway.
Oh, I know, I remember it.
And I came out with a copy of Herman's Hermits and No Milk Today, and I've still got it. I've still got the bag, the Squires of Ealing bag.
Good man.
Well done.
And it was just, absolutely grabbed me. But to answer your question, Lee, more directly, the first record I bought with my own money was Hugo Montenegro's movie soundtracks. And I was struck by the soundtrack to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, yeah.
Ennio Morricone's score for that. I didn't get to see the film because, of course, I was still too young and it was an X film. But I thought the music was fantastic.
Still is, yeah.
And it was just shape-shifting stuff. Nobody had done anything quite like it. And so I went and bought this album, which sadly I don't have anymore.
You just took me back in time then, because I can remember... sometimes you hear a line and you remember something from history. I remember Ken Dodd being on television taking the mickey out of pop records of the day. And I remember him saying, "Oh, no milk today, the farmer's got cold hands."
Oh dear.
I remember Ken Dodd, I remember him saying it.
And he got away with that. Could have all gone so wrong.
Where did it all go so wrong for Ken?
First band.
Subject of another podcast.
First band you ever saw live, not the band that inspired you or anything. Was there, because down the road or in a pub, or it made you sort of a little bit of a spark. But come on to a band that inspired you, and
Okay, let me think. The first band I ever saw was I went to a recording of Crackerjack, which was a TV show back in the days when everything was monochrome. There was no colour. You stepped outside, everything was black and white, and it was a party. Like a school party, and this would have been around about 1965, so I'd have been 10, and I went along to that, and I saw Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titch.
Yep. Bend it.
And there were other bands on. I do remember Eamon Andrews. At the end, because they were all kids. The whole studio was packed out with kids. Saying, shall we have the Hollies or the Beatles next week? Kids, and I reflect on that now and think to myself, what a pity I didn't get to the next week.
Was that when Hold Tight was in there?
Sorry?
Hold Tight, was that when that was in the charts? Hold Tight.
Was it Bend It?
I do remember that. Pre-Xanadu.
I tell you what, I think it was about that time. I thought, how does Titch get the sound on that guitar? A fuzz box.
Right.
So I went to Morris Plaquet in Acton and I saw Jeff in there. Have you got a fuzz box? Yeah. And it was just like a box with an on-off switch on it.
Cigarette tin.
And I bought my first fuzz box.
Did
so
you?
I could go, dan, dan. And then, funnily enough, the Spencer Davis group came out with fuzz box. I'll keep on running.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there a band or a musical moment that inspired you to get into music? Mine was Dr. Feelgood back in 75 at Dingwalls that made me sort of go, hang on, I can do this. Dell was Terry Reid, am I right? Yeah. So was there a moment where you think, I've got to get into the music, I'm loving this so much? Was there a moment?
There was in that there was a movement, and the movement was prog.
Right.
It was prog related, and it was very specific. It was very niche. It was the Canterbury scene, so you're bundling in bands like Caravan, Matching Mole, Soft Machine. I mean, Soft Machine really standing out there because without Soft Machine, there wouldn't have been a Canterbury scene. And some people might be now listening and thinking, what is he talking about?
No, big prog is big.
But prog, it's never gone away. You know, I think prog is still very much around. And Soft Machine, I thought, were fantastic because they just pushed the boundaries again and again and again. Within that band, you had Kevin Ayers, a man who knew how to write a pop song in a band that would do anything but play pop music. And out of that came Kevin, and out of Kevin, I thought he had such a precious talent. What was it John Peel said about him? He had more talent than anybody else in his little finger, or something this about Kevin. And so I rushed out and bought Kevin Ayers' albums, and they were all so original and so musical. And so brave.
Right time at the right place, wasn't it? I mean, it was
very much so. Yes.
I was too young for it. I was, like I explained earlier off the show, that I was just into the 60s for some reason in that period. My brother was really sort of moving on, and he still liked Hendrix and that. So I didn't get any prog rock coming into my house, which I'd have probably. Right, but when I think back, it was a time when people really listened to records. Yeah, I've got a pair of headphones on here doing this, and people went off and escaped for an hour or 40 minutes or 2 hours, whatever. Yeah. And it fitted the bill, and they, again, pushing the boundaries. Music was still pushing the boundaries, sonically and musically, I think is worth saying. I mean, sonically, those albums, I've listened to quite a few. I'm a big fan of Yes, really like Yes.
Terrific band, yeah.
Fantastic. They just take you somewhere, but the playing on them, the performances on another level, really showing what it reached. And so it must have been exciting to be. I mean, I think people, I was punk era, and then there's post-punk and there's all the others. They might look back and go, what are they doing? It's all a bit jazz. But it was it must have been, but tell me, it must have been exciting seeing all these bands and listening to new albums coming out all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was such a, fecund. When everything sounds like I should be banned from using the word, but fecund, out of which so much grows. I mean, I used to read Melody Maker and New Musical Express and Sounds, and they came out weekly.
You mentioned Soft Machine. I mean, I can remember at that time because I supported Soft Machine at it's been about 1970, and that was when Richard, the drummer.
Robert Wyatt
was playing drums.
Yeah.
And he came over and he spent the evening with us.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, he had the accident not long after.
Fell out of a window.
But they were great. But for a time, because they were proggy, but also there was that jazz fusion thing happening. So they were getting an extra slice of the cake. And for a time, I mean, I remember playing with them, and I used to dabble on keyboards at the time. And I came away from that. I'd never seen a band like Soft Machine before, and I wanted to be Mike Ratledge. And I wanted, when we got into the rehearsal studio, let's just jam. So I could just go and do all this stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like Ratledge.
Prior to that, obviously Steve Winwood, but I did a show with Brian Auger, Trinity. And the Hammond organ again. The Klux Clique was the club I played at.
Oh yes. I remember that.
But that was that kind of jazzy thing.
Yeah, very much so. Well, you're right about that. I mean, Soft Machine, in fact, went so jazz that Robert got in a strop and left, and went off and and set up Matching Mole, which was much more up his street. But even then, you could hear the jazz in there. Yeah. I mean, jazz, of course, was a thing. It got torpedoed by jazz rock, and all the big labels thought, hang on a second, why are we forking out to put in a jazz orchestra into the studio when we could just put five guys or whatever into the studio and churn out something that's approximating jazz, and people will buy it. So that was a huge game changer. Progressive rock did that to loads of genre of music because it had so many sub-strands, so many sub-genre, I should say.
So that whole scene just sort of lit the fuse paper, should I say?
It lit the fuse paper, and everybody was running out buying records. Everybody read the music press. Everybody went to gigs. The whole festival circuit was just grew on the rump of probably no more than a couple of years. But within that context, the Isle of Wight Festival, Bath, Windsor, all of these places, and of course Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Well, we're on the cusp of what probably. I don't want to jump your shopping list of things you want to ask.
Go on, yeah.
But what you're saying there now is very relevant to the conversation Lee and I had recently about how do people like you function in the business now? Because like you're saying, to actually get to audiences, we had the Melody Maker, we had Sounds, we had NME, we had all this stuff. We had this conversation about doing it again, sticking posters up. Well, you can't do any of that anymore. Anyhow, I don't want to jump the gun, Lee. You carry on.
No, carry on with it.
Of course, it's changed enormously.
Yeah, I mean, how does someone like you? You're. I happen to know this man personally.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
So, but it's a wonder to me. If I was doing your job, wouldn't be sure where I would go to promote an artist.
I think that I was in the lucky position of starting in journalism, and then I worked in public relations.
Yeah.
And public relations opened the door to radio. So because I would take people into radio stations back in those days, and the clients would be interviewed.
That's right.
I'd be listening in, watching everything, the mixing desk, everything going on, and getting a bead. And I went to some fantastic stations and met some great people. But all of that took me ultimately to music, and I found that the skills I accrued back in those days, in fact, have become more relevant to me now than when I first started working in the music business. So I started in the music business relatively late by comparison with Del. It was 1999.
You cheeky boy. I'll snap
You love
your
it,
legs.
really. It's 1998. I started actually working in the music business, and I was working in music PR.
Right.
So that's where Sing Song started. Right. I bought Sing Song off the shelf, Sing Song Limited. I thought, that's a nice name, I love it. It was only later that I discovered that it was George Harrison's first publishing company.
Wow.
And I had no idea. And I only found that out because I went online, the internet, which we shall come to, keyed it in, and up came a Beatles forum. And it was founded by George he fell out with Alan Klein.
So I think what you're saying now, this is quite interesting, that the traits of your trade back in that day are still serving you well. And the reason I say that is I think I told Del, I left the form of employment I was with for a long time, sort of semi-retired, but I went and did an Open University diploma course, nothing major, but on modern day marketing. And what I took away from it is everything I still learned from, very similar to you, working as a journalist and working in marketing, advertising, if you want to talk, advertorial.
Yeah.
It's still absolutely relevant.
It is.
Clean copy, concise copy. That was still you didn't have pages and pages. You had to get your message out and do it clear. So I don't think people should be too scared. It's just the tools have completely changed.
Yeah, the tools, they've changed.
So how do you, I was touching on what Del said, because we was going to come on this, we'll come on to it now. You've got a new Heritage Act or a new act. Could you concisely explain to me and Del and to the listeners, what is the process for, what do you have to do to get that act with an album sort of noticed? Is it, because we're just saying, if it was the old days, we all know it'd be some adverts, paid for adverts in the music press, and then the PR team would kick in
Bit
and
of payover.
get you on the radio, try and get on the old grey whistle tech. There was a formula that had been around for a long time, but that formula has changed now. So I'm just interested in, the challenges of either breaking a Heritage Act or even a new act in the world we're living in now.
Yeah, I always go looking for the story.
Right.
Every band has a story, and if it hasn't got one, find it,
create one,
and make it up. There's an element of truth in that, and everyone will go along with it, because if you come up with a story that people like a narrative, they buy into it because they thought, we hadn't thought about that. That sounds like fun. We could do that, and they become that, and that's pretty much what was happening in the 60s and 70s. These narratives were created back then. That hasn't changed one iota. The means of getting to the market is what's changed. Because, as you say, we've lost the Inkies. We've lost Melody Maker and Sounds and NME.
And the record shops.
And we've lost the record shops where you put up posters, you know, you get them, you know, you had a good working relationship with retail, which has been undermined really by online. But online is an enabler. So we have online radio stations, and I deal with them. I just kept on doing PR. So Del described me as an A&R man, something you don't see anymore. I suddenly felt very old.
This is kind of how the conversation started with Lee and I a few weeks ago. I was saying that record labels these days, generally speaking, I'm not saying exclusively, but generally speaking, you know, you would sign up with a record label, and then you would meet the A&R man, and then together you would work through your career and how you're developing, and might agree, disagree. But it doesn't seem to be that anymore. And my comment was, I'd like to get Peter Muir here because he's the nearest thing, because I've got my deal with Sing Song Music. He's the nearest thing I've found to an A&R man. He's a voice that I can speak to. I can pick a phone up and say, "Hey Peter, what's happening now? What should we do? What can I do?" And it must be doing something right, because I'm going to blow my own trumpet here.
Yeah, go on.
And I shall blow Peter's trumpet here, because he must have had something to do with this. An album that I recorded 20 years ago, The Devil's Highway, while I was sitting down in Spain enjoying myself, he sends me an email informing me that, probably down to this gentleman here, got my album in the top 40 of most plays on the IBBA chart in April.
Excellent.
Now, I had nothing to do with that except for giving him the music. So obviously, I don't know how you did it.
Well, do you know, it's the route. It's just finding the route to market. I mean, going back to your question, Lee, about, you know, how do you do that? We subscribe to a media database.
Right.
So
Got you.
I'm on that. Excuse me. I'm on that most days. You know, and
I was going to say that. I've got a question here.
Sure.
You must be really organised. I've looked at the roster on your record. You've got a lot of artists to look after.
Sure.
So you must, and I get this is the journalist side of you. A lot of people think journalists spend their time in pubs and drinking Guinness.
They did.
Yeah, they did. But actually,
most of my colleagues did.
They know about responsibilities and deadlines.
Yeah.
And those two things, you know, with that amount of acts, you have to be organised and on it to get them the exposure that makes it work for you and makes it work for you. Am I right on that?
Yeah, you are. I think that what skills do you need? I mean, you've got to really love music, by which I mean not just, you know, the band.
And mine.
And of course there's Dell's. But anyway, no. But I always loved Stray. I thought Stray were a fantastic band, because, you know, I timeline with this. So that was a wonderful band that did so much more than people suppose Stray did. There's a lot to Stray.
Yeah.
So I'm very attracted to that. I like diversity in music. And I think that you if you have that interest where music is in your head all the time, you wake in the morning, you can hear it ticking away. Yeah. Ideas that, you know, I'm not even a musician, and I hear new music and I realise I made it up. What a shame I couldn't write it all down. Some of it was quite good.
So there's another question here.
Sure.
I think you've just answered it, the pair of you. I was going to ask, you know, do bands need record companies anymore with the access to uploading your own material on Spotify and uploading your stuff on YouTube, Bandcamp, you know, there's all these sort of platforms. I mean, I know the answer, but I mean, some of the people listening might think, well, what do you know, if you can get your record out to the great world public, what do you need a record company for? But I think you've answered it, but tell me.
I mean, what does a record company do? If we're still looking at physical format, so, you know, CD, vinyl, and would you believe it, even 8-track, I'm told, is making a comeback. So, you know, never say never.
Wow.
But somebody has to liaise with the distributors to get the music to retail. There are still record shops. And true that a lot of it, again, is online, and you've got the likes of Amazon presiding over circumstances. But there are still, you know, distributors around. And that's a job which really you need a record company for. And the reason for this is because the distributors are really not interested in dealing with one band.
Right.
They want somebody who's bringing
That's a good
10, 15 titles to start with, and this is going to be, and they want somebody who's going to keep on churning out new product, even if it's enhanced reissues of old albums, which are very, very popular.
Yeah.
And there are loads of labels that do nothing but that. I mean, we have a lot of historic catalogue, but then my business partner and I, Peter Purnell and I, we're getting on. So we remembered all of these bands. We were there when they were just getting off the ground. So we have a good understanding. Know your music, and keep your ear open to all kinds. I mean, we've got music. It couldn't be more diverse. People like Marvin Ayers, who's a modern classical composer, at one end of things. Steve Jolliffe from Tangerine Dream is there doing his thing. And if we all know Tangerine Dream, you can imagine what Steve's music is like. And then you've got folkies like, Steve Tilston, even Kevin from the grave is still with us.
Steve Tilston, I'll go back a long time because I believe he was on Transatlantic Records.
He was on Transatlantic, absolutely
the
right.
folky label. And of course, you've got involvement with Lindisfarne as well. Which they're still going.
I've known Rod Clements. I met Rod Clements years ago when we were involved with my previous company. I had a label called Market Square. And Market Square, as its name would infer, was very folky. But we put out an album which was a tribute album to Bert Jansch from Pentangle. And it was really successful, and it introduced me to a whole bunch of people who wanted to come on board and record covers of Bert songs. So it was a double album. And amongst them was Rod Clements from Lindisfarne. He was one of the co-founders of the band. And we've just really kept in touch. So we look after his solo catalogue, which is really good. I mean, Rod's a very good songwriter. Meet Me on the Corner is a good song.
But it's good to hear.
So we do their PR for touring. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's good to hear that radio's still playing a part, because I do a little radio show on a Sundays or whatever, and I just do it because I really enjoy doing it. But that's heartwarming that radio is still playing a part in bringing music to people.
Absolutely. I mean, our job with Lindisfarne, because we're now in our 5th year doing their tour PR, is to get Rod into the studio to talk about Top of the Pops back in the 70s.
It's what you were saying, having a story, isn't it?
Of course, it's so much easier to work a band that has got a backstory. It's tougher to work somebody who nobody knows anything about. Sometimes you have to throw a huge amount of money, what we might call hype, to hype an artist up and to make them into something which ultimately gravitates. And it does happen. People will buy into somebody if enough money's thrown at it. I'm not going to mention any names. I don't necessarily like that music. But
that's interesting. So I've got here another question I had for you. Do record companies take risks like they did in the late 60s and the 70s when it was sort of boomtown, where they really took punts on people? So it sounds like you do. If you like them, if you think they're good, then you're willing to take that risk and develop them.
That's right. And sometimes it goes wrong. It is a bit feast or famine in the music industry. So it can go wrong. All kinds of reasons. The exploding drummer. Not really, but I mean, you have somebody who's going to walk off and leave the band, and then the band implodes. And what have you done? You've just pressed up a couple of thousand albums, and you're going, well, there's no band to promote those. Britain is full of warehouses filled with unsold records.
I'm going to use the dreaded word at the moment. Does AI concern you? And before you answer, I've got to say, guys, that both of you, I was putting a radio show together the other way, and I like going on the internet and trying to find obscure covers, because everybody's heard most of the songs. I think and there's some brilliant ones on there. And anyway, I came across one. What was it called? Knocking on Heaven's Door. I thought, I just looked at it. I thought, okay, it's got a cover. I played it. It was absolutely amazing. You know where I'm coming.
Sure.
And it was a band called the Blue Cousins. I mean, Del, I'll have to send it to you, because I'm telling you, sonically, it's one of the best cover versions I've ever heard. And then, of course, I went to do the research, and it's like, okay. And it was AI. And it tore me up. It really. We had this conversation the other week about how cheapened I felt by it. But even the listeners, type it in if you want. Go and have a listen to it. Yeah, just unbelievable. Does it worry you But the point I've got to make is that had thousands and thousands and thousands of listens, and people commenting saying this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm going, no,
Yeah.
you know,
As that,
stop,
that one we
stop,
were
stop
talking
where
about
you are.
Eric Dalton.
Yeah, stop where you are. You know, think about this. You know, but so I mean, you know, we're all getting on a little bit. But does it worry you that AI is going to bite? You know, an already sort of well-bitten industry.
I feel at this particular moment it's very much early days for AI. I mean, the AI does generate fantastic music, but what's missing is the sound of fingers, nails, you know, fingernails on strings, the sudden intake of breath, even a pop on the mic.
Yeah.
It's that sense of a human being is removed. AI hasn't got to that stage where it can emulate us as we sit and we shift our backsides on our seats because that bass is starting to get a bit heavy on the lap. You know, you can't do that. But what do I think of it? I mean, I've heard some great music and I've heard some fabulous back catalogue enhanced by AI. You know, tinkering behind the scenes, orchestration.
Yeah.
I mean, what is AI bad for? Well, not very good news for violinists and tuba players and, you know, people in orchestras because its capacity to replicate an orchestra is quite something. I mean, I know the Corgis, a band I love, you know, it goes right back to Stackridge, you might remember from the early days. And the Corgis put out an album just to see what happened. And it was basically, they called it the Rialto Orchestra, but it isn't an orchestra. It's it's basically technology, but it sounds fabulous, you know. And I don't think though that whilst the consumer is interested in AI, I think the consumer fears it. It you know, there is a fear about it because
Definitely myself,
yeah. I have a sneaking suspicion it will have its place, but its problem is it can't go out and play live.
No.
It can't come into the studio and have a chat with you about how its day's gone.
That's a good point actually, because it actually explains what you were saying about if you were promoting it, how would you promote it? Because it's not real.
You can't really promote AI. You can lie about it. You can say, oh, no, that's not AI. Good heavens, no. That's Billy Bob and Jimbo and whoever, you know, you come up with his names and make a fictitious band. That's what people are doing, which is why Spotify, you know, and a lot of the platforms are going, well, no AI, thank you very much. But you have inevitably people whose view of this is, will it make us loads of money for very little investment? Yes, okay, well, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And the music industry has always been full of people like that.
I do think there's a place for it, but I would like to see on Spotify, for instance, an AI channel on it. So if you want to go and listen to AI, there's a portal for it. You know what frustrated me was, the story I just explained. When I was trying to find a really good cover of Knocking on Heaven's Door, and I found it, and it was only after listening to it and then going to do some research, I found out it was AI.
I think there are some people, and I think some people, like probably us three sitting around, will feel cheated.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I don't think public generally are too discerning. They just like
no,
what
they're
they
not.
like.
No, you're right about that. And also the public are not really in a position because you know, some of us have ears and some of us we have different ears. They're not really going to notice, whereas a lot of the time you can discern AI. You can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
If you listen hard, you realise that you're listening to something that's been enhanced. I mean, one of our artists has just brought me a track from the 80s. I think he recorded. It's a band track, and it's great. It's blues and blues rock. But one of his colleagues in the United States sat down in the studio and has enhanced it. Shall we put that into parentheses? And what's come back is absolutely fantastic. It's turbocharged the song. Yeah. Everything is brilliantined. Everything, you know, it's all brightened up. It marches along. It's got vigor. It's got vim. It's got too much.
Yeah,
it's got too much. The thing is, AI people are not constraining it.
Yeah.
If you just let it go, it takes
really
over,
good.
and then you suddenly realise, oh no,
It's a really good point. I often think back to the Archies, Sugar Sugar, in a way.
I've got
There's
that.
a big
Yeah,
similarity.
well, yeah. Go on.
As in, it weren't a
Take
band.
a point.
Yeah, it was just a fantastic song. And, we haven't got a band. What are we going to do? We'll create a cartoon. And there it was. And I'm pretty sure that was top 5 all around the
yeah,
world.
it was a big
So
hit.
Yeah,
but it was
absolutely.
written by Human and the band played it. But this sort of thing has been going on. It's just reached a new sort of level.
Yeah.
Really, where you couldn't go and watch the Archies. You weren't going to play at the marquee. It didn't matter. It went top 5 all around when people did get money for selling records, So
But nonetheless, it had, those cartoons were hugely popular. Loads of people watched them, you
Yeah.
know, and they went out and they bought the music. Because at least you had something
You had
you
something
could
to
work
hang on
to
to.
market.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't just the music. Going back to AI, no. Until we start to have, technology on stage replicating the human form,
Yes, we've
belting
spoken
out
that.
music, and
I do think that's going to come in.
yeah,
In the
yeah.
non too. I think there will be. He knows this, but I've thought it, but I'll explain it to you. As in, the reason why a lot of these back catalogues are going for a lot of money is because I think there's going to be Avatar tours, official Rolling Stones Avatar tours in 20 years' time.
sure.
I just think there will be. If
I
you look
think
at the
ABBA-
success of ABBA in London, which is now,
Absolutely.
most people in the Avatar world are laughing at it. It's just sort of like puppets, what they can do now. And if you think the speed of technology and what they can do with avatars, I'm saying 15, 20 years. So I really believe it. I really believe it.
I think they'll investigate more. There's probably going to be a Beatles.
Yeah, Beatles.
And then they'll-
They
every-
might
all
all
the
be
ones
in
that
the
are big
sphere.
sellers.
Might all just be in the sphere. Might just be in one place. But I think the people fair play to the people who put the toe in the water with the ABBA thing. But it is, I believe, that's what like watching the Beatles in the cavern. Get ready for what's coming. And I think that's why.
Yeah.
Don't know. Do you disagree, Peter?
No,
I'm not as learned in the music industry as you are,
well,
but
I think I went and saw. I went to the ABBA experience, and it's absolutely amazing. Have you seen this?
No,
stuff?
I haven't.
Okay. Oh, it's amazing. I mean, the only thing about it is, I looked around me at this purpose-built theatre, if you can call it that, and everything's happening around you. It's an immersive experience, but I couldn't help but sit there thinking, how many $1 million has this cost to set up? And the answer is many, many million. Obviously the songwriters from ABBA, the band themselves are very, very wealthy people, and they've been able to, I believe they're partially funding all of this, and then they've got investment coming in from elsewhere. What does it all mean? It means the whole project is great, but it's front loaded with cost. Massive cost. So you're right. It can only really be the hard hitters at the moment, the big bands, because you're going to need that traction, that market traction to drive. Otherwise, you're going to have a situation where you put on shows for bands that nobody wants to go and see, and you go bust. And look, the Elvis experience, which was an attempt to replicate that, has just done that. It's gone bust in London, owing millions. Loads of people have got tickets and they're not going to see it.
If you knew about that,
Yeah. Good points. So,
early
sing-song
days,
music. What's on the horizon for sing-song music over the next sort of a couple of months?
Do you mean in terms of who we work
Releases, and is there any sort of news?
Right now we're reissuing back catalogue, a frenzy of back catalogue reissues.
And these are hard copies as well. Do you do vinyl as well?
We don't know. So we administer copyrights.
Right.
So, we were both in the hard copy market, Peter Purnell and I, and we've come out of that, partially because we're of an age now where we don't really want to be saddling our widows with loads of unsold records. So we... and we're interested in music, and management, really, because, Peter's in management as well. So we have an understanding of what record companies do with physical stock, and we understand all of that. We understand distribution, the retail trade, logistics. So we've actually pulled in more knowledge from outside of those areas, which I think are going to be more relevant to the future of the business. Right. So specifically synchronization, music synchronization, where, just to explain that very quickly, it's where you're using music to go a sound bed on a documentary, on TV or on the internet or on a broadcast. Opening credits, for Spielberg's latest blockbuster, that would be nice. Yes, please,
Yeah.
Stephen. Just that sort of thing. So music for that media is of great interest to us.
And he's going to be placing one of my songs in a well-known film, and we're all going to become multi-millionaires.
Is that true?
So.
I had no idea.
No,
This is great news. Oh,
but actually, what he's
you've
saying
been taking
there,
the pills again. Oh.
medications. This is what I was saying about from my point of view. It's almost like we are running our music business differently, but we're connecting because I still need, from my point and my band's point, hard copies. Like the CDs, which they don't do they don't deal with, but they've got the knowledge of stuff I don't have knowledge of.
Got ya.
So, but
Good
the two of us can meet in a way because I have the hard copy and we sell it at
gigs
and stuff like that. And we're at once upon a time I thought, people buying new cars haven't got CDs anymore. Well, they're actually still buying CDs, and they're buying. I've sold out of the vinyl.
Wow.
We've got, and but the thing is, we're still, if you like, on the coal face. But Peter, the two Peters, Sings on Music, are going somewhere else where I could not go
gone before.
So
no, it sounds like a good fix.
But it's kind of kind of works. It works, and I think this is the point of getting Peter in to explain it, because this is how it works today.
Yeah.
We did touch on this on the last when I did I did a band called Severian who did go into great detail. So I get what you're saying. The new to the age where you need instrumentals, you need sound bites, and
that's right.
People can quickly go, I like the sound of that.
It's a completely different industry.
And that's what they have to do as a aspiring band.
Yeah.
They were saying, what we were saying last week was, the old day you send a cassette off to an A&R man, or you delivered it, you found out where he lived, and
that's absolutely
but now,
right.
Just to get the interest, they have to have all these instrumental versions, stems, everything separately. If they want to remix it, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But as you say, the money is in them avenues.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the payoff is.
Up until prior to me meeting Peter Muir here, I had some business dealings with Peter Purnell, who's his partner. And if Peter hears this, I'm sorry, Peter, but you're going to have an impersonation of you, because I'm old school, vinyls and CDs and things like this. And when I had this conversation about, he recommended that I should speak to Peter Muir at Sing Song Music, and I can always remember his DJ voice went, and I'm going to come up to the mic closely.
Yeah, go on.
Well, Dell, you've got to come into the modern world. And it's exactly, and I thought, what does he mean by that? And I I'm there, but I hadn't really grasped. And I used to think, how do I do that? How do I get that? Well, you need a Peter Muir to come along and say, well, this is where you got to go.
It's just taking music wherever you think you can earn a buck for yourself and for your artist. But do you know what? Brian Epstein was thinking pretty much along the same lines.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s. What's changed has been the inevitable, really, technology and the growth of technology, and it's deconstructing the physical world, so to speak. Well, going a bit full on sci-fi here.
Well,
now.
We've actually, it's great you mentioned Brian, because we've actually gone full circle on that, and it kind of explains it really.
He was on the right tracks.
Yeah.
He was on the right tracks,
was.
Epstein. He really was. And one of the reasons why it worked so well for him was he had so much passion and enthusiasm for his subject. He loved his band.
Yeah.
He loved those guys.
He did, didn't he?
So,
really.
I
remember
he
I
was a
told
father
you-
figure, really.
I mean, the first contract was just, people know their contracts, and it was absolutely flawed, but he didn't care, as in for him. Someone was saying, you do know that, if they want to get out of this, they can get out of it easily. He went, don't worry about it, I love them. It wasn't for the money. When people go, he signed them up. Like other bands in the 60s were definitely getting signed up for people just to make a living.
It's true.
We won't mention them. I get shot. There's that kind of thing. But that's fascinating. I think I'm not going to leave the show here. I'm just going to leave that segment there because I always like to carry on where we talk about what the sort of news, what's happened this week in history and what's been happening this week. Rolling Stones, new album. And I'll tell you what, Del, I listened to the single, The Stars. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And I was thinking, but it seemed, they just seemed to get passed by. And I'm thinking, if that, The Stars, I think it was the single, excuse me if I'm wrong. And I thought, yeah, that's the Stones. I knew within 30 seconds, that's the Stones. And it sounded great guitars, well produced. But I thought, if that song is actually better than a lot of their songs that came out around 69, there were some great songs in the 70s. I'm thinking, if that had come out as a single in 71, it would be hailed as a classic. Yeah. But because it's come out in 20, goes, hey, that's the Stones. I'm thinking, that's really good. It needs more than that. You know, it's as good as Tumbling Dice. It does sound like, I mean, I've seen a couple of interviews with both Keith and Mick, and they just sound really energised. Yeah. Like they're really loving it, you know. Yeah, they recorded it.
Age is a number, I guess.
They recorded it in London, didn't they? They recorded it in London, and they did it in like a month, which I thought, wow, okay, that doesn't happen very often. So I'm looking for, I don't know if the album's out to a stream at the moment. I'm going to look forward to listening to it. But I just thought that, you know, there's bands, even McCartney, I think, has done some material, like later in his period. I think Egypt Station, I thought there were some fantastic songs on there. But I bet you know, if everyone was going to put their favourite McCartney tunes together, including Wings, that wouldn't get a look in.
No. Because
it's sort of after this sort of cut-off date of when it's heritage or when it's just recent. Yeah. And they're still writing some great songs. And I hope they tour. I hope they do another tour. Because I really like... They're one band I would pay silly money to see because I haven't seen them.
No,
yeah, I'm not going to pay for one.
What, the Stones?
Yeah.
I fell asleep.
Oh, did you?
I went to Glastonbury. Not Glastonbury, sorry, no. Oh, God. You know, my mind's
Reading?
No, the venue...
Hyde Park?
The old country house, Del.
Nebworth.
Oh,
yeah, they played
at Nebworth. Yeah. And unfortunately, I was a little over-refreshed.
And they came on.
I fell asleep and I found a bloke was standing on my head and I woke up and Mick said, "Very much good night."
And I think they came on very late that night as well.
They did that. I think my waiting
kicked in.
It was a very, very hot day.
So I had a cousin who lived just literally, he could walk to there from his house. And he gave up because they were so late. He wasn't amused.
They were 2 hours late.
He wasn't crazy. He said, I'll leave it.
Yeah. I saw him years ago at Wembley, and it's just like the rock and roll jukebox. You knew every tune.
Yeah.
And every tune you didn't know, you'd still strut your stuff. Yeah.
Well, so I saw the documentary about them playing in Cuba, and I was astounded how good they were. And I know it's been polished up a little bit, but Charlie Watts, and I was just like, whoa, I didn't know you were this good. You know, I knew they were good, but I didn't know they were that good.
I think it's great that artists of a generation, shall we say, you know, in later life, can still come out and deliver something that syncs back to synchronises back to what people bought into 40, 50 years ago, and they suddenly go, there's a connection. Well, you know, it's still happening. I mean,
I think it's kind of something that we're only kind of just realising, because I know when I first started off, you didn't think anyone played over 30 years old.
No.
And I certainly, when I first started playing, I didn't actually see my career going any further than I was about 30. And here I am now at 35.
Yeah, 35.
Wow,
you're that old.
I've just had a hard life, Pete.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I just think now we're kind of coming to the terms of, oh, hang on, they're still playing. And why shouldn't they? I mean, actually...
Well, I think you do it, Stray do it very well. The last album was fantastic. It reflected the ethos of the band, of what it was.
Absolutely true.
It was saying welcome to the new world as well, but you knew it was Stray. You must just do it naturally. I don't think that's something you can plan to do.
Well, I just flippantly said age is a number, but for me it really is, because it's what's in here. I still feel as passionate about it as I did 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when I first started. And when I was... It's actually... I was just coming up to 14 years of age when I did my first paid performance, right? With my brother's group, it was Acton, the Co-op Hall in Acton. I've had that. I told you the story before.
And I bet you got more money then than you did last week.
I did. A couple of gigs a week, and I was getting more.
You
than
got
my dad.
threepence. That was a lot of money back then.
A couple of gigs a week, and I was earning more than my dad did. But no, I've been. I still have the same
Passion.
Well, the point I'm making is when I first picked up a guitar, I never thought, if I learn to tune, I'm going to earn so much money. I never thought about that.
No.
And that's probably why I do it for nothing sometimes these days, or lose money, because I still got the passion about it.
Well, it's lovely to talk to you, Peter, because you've still got the passion.
He
as
has.
well.
And when we finish this, I'm going to
fantastic.
chuck a bucket of water over it.
Yeah.
Because he's so hot.
It's great to hear there are still wonderful people out there and record companies like yourself who are, it is a business, but it's more than a business. It's a sort of way of life, and it's a passion.
I think you've really got to be around to talk to everybody at any time. It's not 9 to 5. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You if you're in the music industry and you think, I'm going to go home now, it's 5:30.
I still
You're
felt
not in the
guilty.
music
I
industry.
still felt guilty with phoning him up on a Sunday. You couldn't come and do this podcast.
Keeps doing it. Keeps doing it.
And if there's one album on Sing Song Music you need to go and listen to if you haven't, is White Feather, which is one of my all-time
It's a beautiful
favourite
record.
albums. Great album.
Thank you.
He's sitting right in front of
Thank
me,
you
but
very
he knows it's in there, up in my revolvers and everything. It's that good. So if you haven't heard Del's White Feather album, it's there on Sing Song Music. But thanks, gentlemen. I've really enjoyed today. It was everything I expected, and thank you for coming. And most important of all, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again, or talk to you again, I should say. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Lovely. Excellent.
Well, that was a load of fun.
Yes.
I could have gone on.
Yeah, that's the goal. You have to keep me on.
Talking About My Generation, the podcast with Lee Scriven and Del Bromham.